What are the orders?
Brace for impact.
Unable to brace for impact.
Is it the end for Commander Zane and Buddy? Tune in next week to find out.
The Outer Worlds came out in 2019 from the producers of Fallout New Vegas, which could be one of the best role-playing games ever made, depending on who you ask. Todd Howard. My name is Couchus Cupus Maximus. I'm going to be having a look at the sequel to Outer Worlds, The Outer Worlds 2. We are treated to a rather lavish intro. I do like this animation style, and we're introduced to quite a few new faces. The Outer Worlds was also quite polarizing. Some people very much enjoyed it. Obsidian fans, I think, enjoyed it. And I even got into Avowed, which came out February of 2025. I cannot believe it's that long ago. So Obsidian have been very busy.
Considering the danger and consequence of the mission we're about to undertake, I hope you'll forgive the lack of pleasantries.
This was released on the 29th of October this year. It has been very much hyped with a lot of marketing and promotional material and sort of game show appearances. It has released on the majority of 9th generation systems. I do need to look at this game on a PlayStation 5. Yes, this is the Game Pass Day 1 version on my PC. Let's get that out of the way. I got it up to medium. I've got 1080 and 60 frames per second. It is a bit of a rough ride on PC at the moment. I get a lot of opening game crashes. It often forgets my graphics preset, but I'm coping. I've got a lot of gameplay done. It's actually running okay once it's stopped crashing, and we see quite a jump in facial graphic fidelity. These character interactions look a lot better off the bat.
We shall see. I need to go now.
Engine wise, this isn't the colossal leap I was expecting. We do still have the external camera option. You hold down that Xbox button that isn't the pause button, and then you have two options with it, further and closer away. It used to be an adjustable slider. I do love that idle camera pan, and you're treated to quite a spectacular intro with loads of fire, quite a lot of fighting, and it gives you that slowdown mechanic off the bat, which is over on L1. You still got your manual health regeneration, which can run out, but all of the standard stuff with sliding, crouching, not too much disruption there.
Surely you don't think it's anything untoward.
If you're a fan of the first game, then you'll be well aware that one of the main attractions to the show is how the game writers are actually quite funny and self-aware. Well, we saw a little bit of it in New Vegas, but it was really focused on with the Outer Worlds first game because it had this sort of like 40s, 50s goofy aesthetic, almost camp in areas. And it sort of really worked with the message and the story and the aesthetic of the game. And we see exactly that here. The point I'm trying to get to is this game's never really been about powerful engine prowess or realistic physics or open world mechanics. It's more of a tongue-in-cheek, story-driven, traditional action role-playing game, which in this day and age is quite refreshing. That territory can bring with it a lack of hand-holding and a heavy focus on dialogue. Now, you might be like me and always go for the top option in the sentence, right? Because it's normally the most passive, vanilla thing you can say, and it allows you to get through the dialogue as quick as possible. That will soon land you in some problems. Progression in this game is not layman, and it has fallen foul of some people who have got to it early. Again, I think that's product of those individuals being very used to a click here, go there, mission marker, mini-map system. This very much bucks that idea in areas. We'll get into it because I do in a way totally respect them for that decision. This jump towards me after the grenade thrown though, the combat is still strong despite its lack of graphical fidelity. Trepang 2, I will get you on the channel. They have also kept to the close quarters aspect of combat being very important and integral to the model itself. Sneaking up on people, whacking people at close quarters, getting people by surprise from the back and equipping something nasty that comes with a blight and can do damage to particular enemy types. All of that is pretty intact as well, and I enjoyed loads of that. It's not just about the guns. And that that brings us up very gracefully to the end of the prologue, and we get the classic. Yeah, the soundtrack hasn't been mucked around with. Always been a bit of a shine for me, that soundtrack's Goldsmith good, to be honest. And once that cranks up, you're like, yeah, I'm back in the driving seat, or cockpit rather. So it's very much welcome to Fairfield, the classic obsidian settlement structure, nothing too out of the ordinary there. And yes, I have gone full alpaca for my hairstyle, one can but wish. And on the subject of characters and character creation, this series is all about companions, having them with you, giving them extra powers. Now they've dumbed down a little bit of the interaction on what you can equip on your companion, be it attire or weaponry, but you still have the ability to upgrade their perks and instigate their special attack manually. Things are not jumping around on the performance front at this stage. I'm quite impressed with that. Normally high population areas or stuff with like quests in and markers can force a game to misbehave a little bit, and I saw loads of clips online of people landing on this planet and it just stuttering immediately. I had a really smooth introduction to landing on this starter planet, which is effing surprising as some primary schools have got better rigs than myself. Okay, so the footstep noise, alright? Now if I was a sound production person, artist, I would have thought that sounds a little bit too out of place considering the terrain underfoot currently. For me, it sort of sounds a bit like a Geiger counter. So I, at the back of my mind, just keep thinking I'm walking towards some radiated barrels or something. I think they'll fiddle around with it. It sounds really out of place and generic and just slapped onto every surface that you traverse on. This wind and additional foliage that we're seeing on the planet's surface here is a massive jump up from the original Outer Worlds. It has been 6 years, so not a mammoth task achieved there. Also, the day and night system is pretty cool. It's got to be one of the slowest, actually. Not like Forza Horizon 5, who has a nighttime which is literally a blink of an eye, or every other open world RPG which just seems to be taking place permanently at night. This one feels pretty damn natural. Lighting's also not terrible. Loads of interesting stuff to look at in this starting area, so quite a lot to do and soak up here. Oh yeah, the radio. We've actually got some okay music. It all seems to be written for the game, and it could be as strong as some of those older Fallout video games. Most of that was licensed, so it's pretty cool to see a lot of production put towards unique songs created just for Outer Worlds 2. I also get to circumnavigate any copyright, so everyone's a winner.
These anti-soldiers seem twitchy to you? Might want to sneak our way in.
This game is also called The Outer Worlds. Okay, let's just think about that title for a minute and remember the first game. You kind of had a planetary choice, not straight off the bat, but it was introduced to you that you were traveling between planets and worlds. There's not even an option to go back to the spaceship at this point in the game, and you've got these loot chests and keys. I also selected the wrong NPC helper. That guy's so annoying. You can't switch that out. I wanted the robot, I wasn't paying attention, and now I'm forever regretting it. Just back to that planetary choice thing. I know it's early game in this footage and there will be more options on that front. I just like the idea of the unreliable parked up. You go back on it, you could switch stuff out, you could talk to that AI. If that is a thing and I've missed it, then that's the UI's fault and not mine. And planetary choice is probably due to make an appearance, just not at this stage in the game. Let's check out the swimming. So the game throws a deliberate curveball at you with giving you a bunch of quests within this starting area, and one of them being negotiate to get across a bridge, and it will throw loads of quest markers on the other side of this untraversable chasmous gap of water. The quest given by the keepers of the bridge is deliberately supposed to be annoying and a little bit evil, and you're not really supposed to go through with it. You can only get up to a certain point. I'm talking about Charlton and persuading him to go don't hang himself. This is not big spoiler territory, but if you've played through this, you'll know what I'm talking about. You are supposed to attack the bridge. Don't do it until you're at least rank 6 or 7 and got some cool guns and weaponry. But I thought that was interesting, how it masquerades as a quest line when really it's a moral test on how far you'll go to get some dude to turn himself in for execution. Turns out I'll go pretty far, and even tried to persuade him to do it after he'd relocated to his new life in the Fairfield city. I thought this was really clever, and it put me to a point in the game where I was stuck. I had to rinse a lot of the side quests, talk to a lot of NPCs that I don't like having to interact with, turn over a lot of stones, so to speak. I ended up sort of finding out loads about this area and sorting out a few problems with that gas leak. I didn't get that directional lift working, however, and it pushes you back constantly on that front, saying you need to level up engineering or get your hacking one up more before you can go in through this locked door, which is integral to moving forward in the game. It's an interesting system, and it forces you to read everything, which again I find difficult, and not take everything that everyone says as face value. Some minor quests will appear inconsequential, but will result in a massive piece of story and lore being turned over. Busting this woman for apple scrumping was one of the highlights. Also, check out my NPC helper go full Blair Witch and just stand in the corner.
Enough!
Let's skip the diplomacy.
You did me a big favor here.
In that lady's defense, she wasn't actually on team at that point, so I didn't have the little directional button instigate special move option. There's more dialogue and more sort of teaming up to be had before they are officially fighting alongside you, so that one needs to be looked out for.
I'm simply not credulous enough to accept this is where I've ended up.
The weapons chat needs to be had. I only had access to that pistol you're given in the prologue for what felt like ages, and then of course maybe a rifle, but it wasn't falling out of my rucksack. The previous game maybe threw a bit too much at you on that front, but the armors and sets are amazing. I do miss not being able to apply them to my NPC team, however. Sticking on that subject of weapons, you may have seen a lot of the advertising for the video game. What it's pushing is really outlandish Ratchet and Clank like outcomes to a lot of the weapons and ammo types. I've seen stuff where you can shrink people down. There's also an arm weapon that fires limbs at enemies. There's also some corrosive projectile weapons that are given to you very early, which you mix in and out depending on if you're fighting someone with armor or organic beasts. So I think they're going in a bit more of a unhooked direction with a lot of the weapon and weapon types in this game. They just don't spill it out early doors. These character models, creature models, still look really nice. I think they were great looking in the first place. In actual fact, let's go over and have a look at Outer Worlds 1, because I put that video about the Gorgon DLC together. Let's just see how close to that game we are. This will be on the same PC, but because of its age, higher settings, so not the most even of test beds. Blimey, I was expecting it to look a little worse than this. Remember, I've notched it all up though, because it's a game that's 5 years old. My PC can handle those sliders being higher than they are in the Outer Worlds 2. But still, do we have those NPC external shots? You get a kill cam if you sneak assassinate something. Again, this is a slightly later game. Maybe all this dramatique is due to come. Okay, let's not look at any more footage of the Outer Worlds 1. I think there should be a rule going forward. Fair enough, I do agree. And in this game's defense, when that music's twanging, you've got a favorite weapon on, you get accosted by a group of giant crabs, the blue sky is out, your feet are doing that Geiger counter tappy thing, you realize you've been having a good time, and you've been playing the game for like 5 hours straight. I do want to talk about some of its intentional or unintentional comedy that comes with the quest system. There's a section where you have to stop a gas leak, right? And you need to get a shield to be able to navigate the killer gas in the corridors. And because I'm so, yeah, whatever, next button, with the dialogue, dealing with the NPCs, particularly stuff at the end of the quests, there was a multiple choice at getting to the machine to completely stop the gas or make the situation worse. The make the situation worse was right at the top, and I just clicked it without even looking and got that commander in loads of trouble. And the radio keeps talking about this big gas station disaster. The whole thing was my fault. He's going to get fired. The permanent after effects of some quest outcomes is pretty awesome, and the way that they affect the world as well. They've taken that on a lot more than they have with the Outer Worlds one.
Mars can be pleased having him added to the arsenal. Drones launched and no one dead. I'd say this calls for a celebratory smoke.
I obviously need to see this game on a 9th generation system. It will be the PlayStation 5. I'll look to get that on the channel for the end of the year. Something else dawned on me, I haven't put a single player video game list together for over 2 years. And my god, after that Death Stranding 2 and of course Shadows, why'd you have to mention that? You were doing so well. Ghosts of Yoti, even this game's predecessor Avowed. But the big one is of course Doom Dark Ages, which I've currently got on my PlayStation 5. It is blowing my socks off. And that's the point on the single player front. No prompts, no lobbies, no annotations, no notifications. You are not disturbed. It is pure escapism, and they've kept that going with this. I appreciate it. There should be more canonizing towards single player offline content with 9th generation or new video games, I feel. And lastly, and I kept this one to the 16-minute mark, there's only 1.8% of you actually still listening. On that Outer Worlds thumbnail, you might have noticed a female figure. Let's have a look. Yes, the retro sci-fi lovers among you will know that as Barbarella, Fonda's iconic portrayal. Can we see a quick clip? Of course we can. You probably know where this is going. The genre that this video game series borrows from, i.e. the 40s, 50s, even the 60s, is riddled with sexiness. Hot girls, hot guys, everyone's looking gorgeous. It was half the fun of the genre. There is not one bit of thigh in this entire video game. Not one minute piece of cleavage, absolutely nothing. It's sterile. It's like asexual. And it just feels like a one-armed version of that massive influence that they're pulling from with the game's aesthetic. I really hope we're coming out the other side of this. I really do. And it's not Obsidian's fault. The whole western side of the industry's gone that way. But I think, or I hope, there might be a light at the end of the tunnel soon. I'd love your comments on that. As you probably all know, it rages online constantly. And you've only got to look at the new Ninja Gaiden 4, which will be on the channel soon, preferably PS5, to see what a hot NPC is supposed to look like. My closing comments on Outer Worlds 2, more patches needed, a great Game Pass day one, and I look forward to playing it on an actual 9th generation console. My name was, of course, Couch Coop, and I will be seeing you down there. There's Barbarella remake rumours with Sydney Sweeney, by the way.
Fuck! The planets all stand still.